Do you like my Super Daddy-O mug? This is my mug that I got given from my daughter, Super Daddy-O. As some of you may be aware, I have been collecting Nintendo Switch games for about a couple of months now, so probably 2 or 3 months. I've been building up a collection, as you can see in the background just here. I've been building up a slight collection. I want to talk to you about 10 games that I'm going to buy for my Nintendo Switch at some point, hopefully this year or in the near future. I feel this will help you understand kind of the games that I want to talk about and the collection I want to build on my Switch. The majority of my collection in my Nintendo Switch is mostly Nintendo first-party games, the games that you can only really get on Switch. I don't bother so much with third-party games. The games that I really truly want to buy are the first-party games by Nintendo for my Nintendo Switch. So these are the 10 games that I want to talk about. Here we go. Let's go for number 1. The first game I want to talk about is Luigi's Mansion 3. So Luigi's Mansion 3, I haven't actually got on my Nintendo Switch yet, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who say it's one of the best games on Nintendo Switch. Purely because it's a sequel to what I believe is one of the most iconic and famous Nintendo games ever made, and that is Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube. Luigi's Mansion is interesting because it's the mainline series for the character Luigi. The Mansion series is kind of Luigi's own separate thing away from Mario. I actually really enjoy the first game. Luigi's Mansion 1 was a really fun game when I had it on GameCube years ago. I really enjoyed it. It was one of those games you could just sit down and play for a couple of hours, and it was always a good time. I have got Luigi's Mansion 2 as well on my Nintendo 3DS, and while I don't feel like that game is as good as the first game, I have heard that Luigi's Mansion 3 is a far superior game to Luigi's Mansion 2 and is even better than Luigi's Mansion 1. So that's one of the reasons why I want to get it for my Nintendo Switch. I also want to get it because it's got a multiplayer experience on it. With the 2-player experience, it's always fun to have that experience because it gives you more incentive to play a game and share it with other people, and I really enjoy that idea of Luigi's Mansion 2-player game. So yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 is the first game on my list of games I want to purchase for my Nintendo Switch. The next game is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I've never played much of the Donkey Kong Country series. Donkey Kong Country is a series that I never grew up with. I didn't really have much experience with the Nintendo Entertainment System years or the Super Nintendo Entertainment System years, and Donkey Kong Country started in that era. So I kind of missed out on that. And then once Donkey Kong Country Returns came out on Nintendo Wii and the 3DS, I kind of missed that era as well. Like, I didn't really play much of the 3DS era as I wasn't really into gaming during those years. It was only recently after the 3DS and when the Nintendo Switch kind of became a thing that I really started getting back into gaming. I have actually got Donkey Kong Country Returns. I've got it on my Nintendo Wii. I haven't played it yet, I'll be honest with you. I do hope one day to get to it, and I will eventually play it because I do have the intention of playing these games. But Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze, I've heard, is an amazing platforming game on Nintendo Switch. I will pick it up. The problem is I keep finding it for an expensive price. I like to get these games as cheap as possible, and I don't want to overspend on a game that I might play once and never play again. I don't know. I've never really had much experience with the Donkey Kong Country series, so if I play it once, I don't want to waste £40 on a game that I'm never going to play again, so we'll see. And then moving on to the next game is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. And the reason I want to get this game is because I have gone through a bit of a Super Mario Wonder hype. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is an incredible game, and I really enjoyed that game so much to the point I want to continue playing 2D Mario games. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe was the 2D game that was released before Mario Wonder, and while I understand it's not as good of a game, I did enjoy New Super Mario Bros. On the DS and also the Wii version as well. So I'm sure I'll like this game. I know there was a bit of fatigue with this series of the New Super Mario Bros. Games. Quite a few people got bored of them and didn't want to continue playing them because it felt like Nintendo just kept releasing the same game over and over and over. But, you know, it's a Mario game. Mario is one of my favourite franchises of all time, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it no matter what. The next game on my list is Pikmin 4 plus Pikmin 1 and 2. So, yes, okay, that's not technically one game, but it is one series of games. I have got Pikmin 3. I really enjoy Pikmin 3 Deluxe on Nintendo Switch, so I want to continue playing more Pikmin games. Pikmin 4, I don't know why I've still not got this yet, because it has been on my must-buy list for about a year now, since it got released last year. Pikmin 4, yeah, it looks amazing. It looks really nice. The Ochi character looks really fun. The new Pikmin look cool as well. Yeah, so Pikmin 4 I will pick up eventually. I probably want to make it the first game that I buy out of this list, just because it was one of the bigger games that was released last year for Nintendo Switch. And then of course Pikmin 1 and 2 as well alongside that, because While I have played Pikmin 1 and I really enjoyed it when it had it on Nintendo Wii years ago, I've never played Pikmin 2 either, and I've heard that Pikmin 2 is the best in the series, so I will pick that up, and especially with the Wii controls that are available to be used on Nintendo Switch as well. It's worth playing those games for that, because they are the best version of those games with the pointer controls. I am looking forward to finally picking those games up. I'm just hoping that Pikmin 1 and 2 aren't going to be more expensive, because I feel like Nintendo kind of stopped releasing new copies of that game, and it's going to be more difficult to find Pikmin 1 and 2 now. Just hoping that isn't the case, because I really wish I'd bought it when I had the chance last year. The next game on my list is Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Now, I have actually played this game. I had the original Hyrule Warriors on Nintendo Wii U, but I didn't love the game at first. It was hard to play a Zelda game that wasn't a mainline Zelda game. Hyrule Warriors kind of felt like a bit of a cheap strategy game that just had a Hyrule skin to it, had a Zelda skin over it. That is essentially what it was, and now with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity out, which is a far superior game in my opinion, it's harder to really go back to it. But what I do want to do is I do want to go back to it because they have got every bit of content from the 3DS version and the Wii U version all on one package. So yeah, it makes sense to pick it up now, because I've only played the Wii U version, and there's a lot of content that was missing on that version from the Nintendo 3DS, so it's definitely worth getting the game now, as it is the definitive edition that brings all of that content together into one package. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the game. I think it was still a fun game. It was still a good game. I think going back to it now would make more sense, because there's just so much more content rather than having half a game which was originally there on the Wii U. And to be honest, as we all know, you know, the Wii U version of the game probably wasn't the best, so the Nintendo Switch version is far better. And I also know that this game as well is probably going to rise in value, so I need to pick it up as soon as possible before it gets to the point where it's very, very rare to find and very hard to pick up for your Switch. Next on my list is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. So I want to get these games because I do have Xenoblade Chronicles on Nintendo Switch. I have the first game, the definitive edition. However, I haven't played it yet. I will play it eventually. It's on my must play. It's probably one of the next games I'll play on the Switch, because I do really want to get into the series. I want a new series to play through. Start fresh with a new game series. So hopefully once I've beat Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I will go out there and pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3 as soon as possible. Because I do want to experience the whole series and just really get into it. Because, you know, that's just the hope for Nintendo Switch, that they bring over games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that, you know, it becomes a whole series of games. Yeah, hopefully that happens and I can play the whole series handheld while I've got the chance. So that'll be a good thing to play. I have heard that the series is an amazing series to play through, so I'm looking forward to playing these games. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know much about them. The most I know from Xenoblade is the characters from Super Smash Bros. There's obviously more to it than just that. When Pyra and Mythra were revealed on Smash Bros, I was like, I don't know who these characters are. I do really want to find out more about Xenoblade Chronicles, so that is a game series that is on my list to get this year for my Nintendo Switch. So please, in the comments, let me know. Are the games worth it? Do they get better than the first game? Is the first game the best in the series? Who knows? You need to tell me in the comments, please do. Next game on my list is Super Mario RPG. I was too young at the time to really care about that game. I didn't live really through the Super Nintendo Entertainment System years. My true first experience with Nintendo was with the Nintendo 64 and those games. So I missed out on Super Mario RPG. And Super Mario RPG for me is a game that I do really want to get into. And I keep seeing everyone talk about Geno, obviously for Super Smash Bros. And stuff like that. And I know that a lot of people say it's one of the greatest RPGs ever made because of it being a Mario game and the creativity of it and the characters. So I do really want to get into it. I do actually have Super Mario RPG on my Nintendo Wii U. I bought it last year during the Wii U eShop shutdown. I bought it because I kind of panicked with that game and thought, oh, I might never get the chance to play it again. They haven't brought it over to Nintendo Switch Online, so let's get it now while I can. But then it was obvious why they hadn't brought it to Nintendo Switch Online, because they were making a full remake of the game. So I want to play the remake now, because why would I play the original when I can play the remake? You know, the remake is blatantly better. Graphically, gameplay, everything about it is blatantly better than the original now. So I will get the game so that I can experience it. I really enjoyed the Mario and Luigi games, and also the Super Paper Mario games, which I haven't had much experience with, and I will be picking up Thousand Year Door hopefully when it comes out in a few weeks time, so I will hopefully be picking that game up, because that's another series that I've never really experienced much of, is the Paper Mario games. I just never did. I don't know why. I never really played them, but I have had experience with the Mario and Luigi games, and I know they were kind of like the successor to Super Mario RPG, so I just want to go and see what Super Mario RPG is about. It's got that kind of Square Enix feel to it, and the characters in there that don't really feel like Mario characters, but they kind of do at the same time. So yeah, Super Mario RPG is on my list. The next game on my list is New Pokemon Snap. New Pokemon Snap is interesting because I have got the original Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap on the N64 is one of my favourite games on the Nintendo 64. I love that game so much. It came out during the peak of Pokemania when everyone was loving Pokemon. And I really enjoyed Pokemon Snap for what it was. It's a short game, but there's quite a lot of content, and there's quite a lot of things to do and explore in that game, and see new things every time you play it. So I was excited when new Pokemon Snap was announced. However, when it got released, no one really spoke about it. No one really said anything about it. It never really got mentioned much. I feel like it's a game that kind of got forgotten about. But I kind of want to experience it just because I am back into Pokemon now. I'm really into Pokemon. I had a massive gap, like I said, with the 3DS, where I didn't really play video games. I had to catch up with Pokemon again. So I want to go to New Pokemon Snap because, you know, it's Pokemon Snap with new Pokemon. It's the sequel to the first game. It looks very similar, so I don't see why I wouldn't enjoy that game on Switch. So New Pokemon Snap is a game I want to pick up. It looks fun. I love the whole taking photos, and that's one thing as well, is I am actually a photographer. Outside of all of this that I do, I have a hobby as a photographer. I love taking photos. I do it as a whole thing outside of YouTube, photography, videography, that kind of stuff. So it's in my nature to enjoy photography and games based around photography. I actually think the original Pokemon Snap might actually be one of the reasons why I got into photography, because it was just something that I loved and enjoyed doing. So yeah. And continue with Pokemon. The next game on my list is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So in my last video, I talked about 10 Nintendo games that every gamer should play before they die. And one of those games was Gen 1 Pokemon Yellow and Red and Blue. Because of that, it made me realise that I haven't actually got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. These games are essentially remakes of Gen 1. While they're not perfect remakes and they change up the gameplay of like catching Pokemon, you can still play the game as if you're playing Gen 1. It's the closest thing we've had to a full remake, apart from Fire Red and Leaf Green, I suppose, on the Game Boy Advance. These are essential 3D remakes of the Gen 1 Pokemon games. So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't know why I haven't got them, but they're on my list to get. I'd probably get the Pikachu version. I just like Pikachu better than Eevee. That's just my personal opinion, so I'll probably go for the Pikachu edition. It'd be nice to experience Gen 1 in full 3D, I suppose, because they are games that are worth playing. Like I say, they were in my last video of 10 Nintendo games you should play before you die. Kanto region is still my favourite region in all of Pokemon. The Pokemon that you can battle in that region, for example Mewtwo. Mewtwo is one of the greatest Nintendo characters, Pokemon characters, whatever you want to say. Mewtwo in general is just a great character. There's a reason he's in Super Smash Bros. Because he's just the best. He's such a cool Pokemon. I don't think there's ever been a legendary Pokemon as cool as Mewtwo, in my opinion. I just love the story in Gen 1 with Silphco and Giovanni and Team Rocket. And yeah, that just kind of comes together to build this 3D game, which I do want to experience on my Nintendo Switch. So hopefully I will get Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu/Eevee as soon as possible. And the last game on my list is Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. I've never played these games, but I want to play them because they look awesome. That's the most generic answer I think I've ever given to a game ever. I love the whole pixel art gameplay style. It looks so nice. The HD pixel art style looks amazing. It reminds me of like the earlier Final Fantasy games. For example, Final Fantasy 1 to 6. Were pixel games. They started on the Nintendo Entertainment System and then eventually on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and they had this like iconic pixel art to them that made them look awesome. And I feel like Octopath Traveler has kind of taken that art style and ramped it up to 11. And I'm definitely one for JRPGs. I really enjoy JRPGs. For example, Persona and Final Fantasy are two of my favorite series of all time. I really love those series. I just want to play these games purely for the sake of they look awesome. Like, from what I've seen, Octopath Traveler 2 got its own massive segment in a Nintendo Direct once. So Nintendo were blatantly endorsing the game, so it must be good. If Nintendo are endorsing it, then yeah, I can see why it's such a well-renowned game by everyone who's played it so far. What I do want to know though is, do you have to play the first game before you play Octopath Traveler 2? I don't know. I don't know anything about the game personally. Don't know any of the characters that are in the game. I want to experience it. I know people are saying it's one of the best games on the Switch. Do you have to play the first game before you play the second game? Let me know in the comments. That'll be helpful, actually. But yeah, there you go. That is my list of 10 games I still want to add to my Nintendo Switch collection, hopefully this year or in the coming future years. Please let me also know in the comments below, let me know any games that you want to recommend that I should pick up. I do actually have a video right here of all the games in my collection so far, so if you want to check out that video and see every game that I have here, check it out. If you've liked this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I will see you around, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.